Good morning. Happy hump day. It is the 8:08 and the banter session is going down. Pull up with your morning coffee or your cuppa or just pull up for some banter yarns. Apologies, massive apologies for not making it on yesterday morning. You all would have been affected about the outage that Facebook had a hit out on. But we're here this morning, so make sure you pull up with your good vibes. We've got a quick banter session. We've got an exciting banter session. A little bit of things to adjust with all the announcements. We didn't expect what we expected on Monday. If you were like me and confused about what Aunty Cindy said, I'm still confused. But that's let's just go into it, bro. How are you? And how are you with the outage? And how have you just adjusted to the announcement? Damn.
I had to learn how to text. And I was like, I actually didn't realize how many numbers of people I don't have.
Oh, right.
I was like, you
I
gotta
think for
be flipping
me,
out on me on this.
I think I got an email. So I was sitting there looking at my phone, refreshing. That's the word. I was refreshing the screen and it kept on saying like something not refreshed or something, and I was like, so restarted my phone. Something must be wrong, like an overload or something. And then I was like, check the Wi-Fi. Nah, all good. And then I get an email from my sissy Chuck, and she's like, "Is your phone playing up?" And I was like, "Yeah, my phone's playing up." I thought it was just me. And then, wow, did a little bit of a Google research, and FB, Insta, and WhatsApp were down yesterday till about midday. And honestly, I had to log into my Snapchat. I felt like a little bit withdrawn. Like usually I'm good at being able to be like, oh yeah, that's enough device time. But I think the thought of it not being there because I didn't choose to was the hardest part. And it just proved how much we relied on it, right? Like how much did you rely on it? Because Messenger is your phone book as well as your contact list, as well as your,
Yeah.
everyone in the comment section who can agree to that. Like, oh man.
We were like, hey, what do we do? We're at work. I got to work. And I was like, hey, everyone, is your stuff down? They're like, yeah, it is. And we're like, what do we do? Well, I don't know. And because we whiteboard a lot, but then we're jumping on because we're checking out.
Yeah.
Usually people's Instagrams and Facebooks to see, oh yeah, they did that. Oh no, we're gonna do this. And we're like, we're like robots without a command, and so we're kind of sit there staticky like R2D2.
It was honestly staticky, and I felt myself subconsciously. It made me realize actually how much I go on without realizing. When your phone's sitting there and you catch a break for a minute, subconsciously my thumb will like knows the swipes across the screen to get to my Insta. Like I was like, that's bad. That's bad, Mo. But I mean, Twitter. I saw so many memes yesterday as well about like Mark Zuckerberg. Twitter one, there's all these Squid Games memes, and it was like the images of Twitter, Facebook, Insta, and WhatsApp, and then like that gold, whatever that hokey pokey thing that they make on Squid Games. All of them were broken except for the Twitter one. I thought that was kind of good. But yes, it was a huge realization. So sorry we couldn't join you yesterday morning, but we're here today.
We are.
Yeah, we are. But how are you, bro? How have you adjusted to the announcement? How has it affected the business? Fill us in, because I know you've been busy.
It was a mad 20 hours, I think. So after the Monday 4 p.m. brief, the key phrase that came out that I got was we could run outdoor fitness classes up to 10 people. And that was the only information that came out. And so we're like, right, okay, we can do this. How are we going to do this? And then I was kind of thinking, well, can we do it at the front of the gym? How's it going to work? Because we've got the cafe there next door. Yeah. And then we came up with the scenario, hey, we're going to do it via only in the afternoon. So we do Zoom in the morning, lunchtime, and then we're going to do ones outside. Yeah. And then me and the coaches kind of work to and fro about what we're going to do in terms of how many, etc. And then at about 10 o'clock yesterday, 10:30, they clarified that statement with and now you can do outdoor classes, but it has to be bubble to bubble, right? So just two bubbles working together. So bubble to bubble would be a coach, so that's his bubble, and then the people that we have in front of us at their bubble.
Right.
So then that's what changed. So we weren't like, oh, okay, how are we going to do this? And we did a quick sort of 5-minute powwow, and then we're like, hey, we'll do bubble to bubble. And then so we're like, how are we going to choose it? We're going to do hat name of the hat. And that's what we did yesterday. So it starts today. Mary, Kath, and Fran are coming in. So of all the people that we've got in the gym, we're going to have those two crazy kids coming in.
Cool.
So that's certainly going to make my life enjoyable for at least 45, 50 minutes.
Awesome.
So I am looking forward to seeing them.
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah, them trying to sneak out of training, even though they love coming to training. So, yeah.
And so, what are you anticipating that we're going to be here for a little while, or?
Oh, it's a great question, and I honestly, the answers I don't know.
Yeah,
we are anticipating because they said week to week they're going to look at the adjustments of the step down levels in the roadmap to level 2, because that's basically the carrot that's been dangled in front of us is that.
Yeah.
And the other key thing that I heard was that Ashley Bloomfield said this could take up to 8 weeks. Now that takes us to the end of November.
Yeah.
At the current climate. So my thoughts is that every 2 weeks we're going to see a reduction in the levels. That's what worst case scenario. That's what I'm thinking. And that's kind of there's the very cautious approach that the government is taking with all of this. It feels like that's the pathway that they're going.
Yeah. I honestly feel like Monday afternoon, the announcement, everyone was on edge. It felt like, I don't want to refer to Jacinda as this lady, but I feel like just because of the scenario it is. On Hunger Games, the lady with the white hair.
Oh yeah.
She reminds me of that time that lady speaks every time, and everyone's just sitting there like, what's the words for all the? Is it sections? All the sections.
They're I don't know what they're called.
It's something like that. But everyone's just waiting in anticipation, trying to decipher what the clue is or what she said, or
Now I heard sorry, I was going to go on a slight tangent here.
Yeah.
That way.
Yeah.
So you know how Squid Game is this big thing that's happening at the moment. They reckon that it's going to be the thing that's going to break Netflix because it's so popular. There's a theory that came out yesterday, and it's really valid. In Squid Games, I have never watched Squid Game yet.
Neither.
Or Squid Games or whatever. But there's a scene in it where the Watchers, which are like the elite, who've got these face masks on, one of them turns around and says, man, the Korean version is the best one. And they're like, oh, wow. So does that mean that there's other versions? And they believe that Squid Game, Hunger Games, and what's that one that's it's come out of Japan just at the moment? There's another one that's out on Netflix. I can't remember what it's called. And they believe that the Squid Games is going to be another version. So what we're actually seeing is different countries having their own. So Hunger Games is America, Squid Game is Korea, this one other one's in Japan, and they're believing that there's this systematic games variation that's going on, and that's the current theory coming out.
Wow.
Districts.
Yes, that's the word. Thank you for having my back on that. When we explain it like that, I feel like that's what's happening. Like, low-key, that movie seems a bit accurate. Like, what's going on here?
So they reckon the next one's going to be an African themed one.
Wow. What else can they come up with to prep us? Nah. I mean, it's the situation of what it is. I think I was saying this to you offline. I'm not anti-vax. I'm not pro, I'm not one that's going to jump research down your throat, but I am, for me, I think the part that's getting me is the separatism. Let's go into that later. We've got a let's segue into this. We've got an exciting guest for you guys. You can roll us into this. You surprised me. You surprised me, so you can do it. You can do it.
Yeah, what a fail that was. So this young lady and her hubby have been with us, I think, for the last I think maybe 7 months, might be like in and around that sort of realm. She was one of the last of the Moe's clan friends group to come. So her and Ash, and I've grown really to. I'm quite fond of this lady and her husband, and I'm looking forward to Super Bowl with them.
Yeah,
and that's Vita.
Hello.
Morena.
This is really cool. Yeah, no, feeling good. Obviously, changed my background.
I know. I just noticed it, and I was going to be like, "Oh, nice curtains."
Who didn't see me earlier? I did have a beautiful bed behind me, so I thought I'd change it up and match with the curtain background and a beanie, like the both of you have.
Yeah, beanie gang.
Well, I had to go get a beanie because I was like, well, I can't be the only one without a beanie, so I went and got one myself.
Love it.
Oh no, so thank you for coming on. Like when I saw you this morning when I popped up on the link, I was like, this is gonna be so awesome. How are you? How's your bubble? How's Mahi? Yes. Let's open up with that.
Yeah, no, everything's good. Mahi wise, obviously working within the health industry. It is heavily revolved around COVID and vaccinations and whatnot. But I'm quite lucky and I'm really fortunate because a large amount of my work doesn't necessarily revolve around that stuff. So I get a taste of it, but I don't feel like I'm consumed by it, which is really nice.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, and so I've been fortunate to kind of be involved in various campaigns that have gone on. I guess just to identify and see what that means for our Māori and Pacifica community that's out in Countess Manukau especially.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like my work side. Bubble side, just getting to understand the bubble. Learning new techniques on how to work together, I guess, as a whānau, which is like really quite interesting because we obviously live together on a day-to-day basis, but when you're isolated together for a period of time, I guess that's when it becomes a little bit more intense.
Look at your sitter. Look at your sitter. I knew you should be jumping on form this morning, sitter.
I was going to say I was going to bring Lucy on, but I was like, oh no, we'll get V's. But maybe one day, Lucy, I'll bring you on. Oh my Lord, have mercy.
The day you bring her on, it'll just be a day of absolute laughs. I think we'll all be fits when we see that one.
Oh, I know.
And I'm going to keep that answer open, sort of, for you, just to kind of dwell on that thought.
What one was it?
For Lucy's question.
Yeah. The water.
It's been I think because I've experienced this before and worked in the same industry, it doesn't feel as so different for me in that aspect.
Yeah.
But I think now where we're at, I'm like, okay, let's just go back to normal. Can we just get on with it and move forward? I'm ready to move forward now.
Yeah, hard. All right. Well, tell us and everyone a little about yourself. Like, where you from? How we all met? How many kids you have? What do you do? I don't know.
Bit of whakawhanaungatanga for the morning. All right. Okay, cool.
Go on, give us your pipi hug, girl.
Not sure I'm upskilled. Sorry, B. I guess for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Avita, Avita, whatever. And I'm originally from Whangarei, woohoo, naughty north. So representing the north. I came to Auckland when I was like 15. Auckland was super weird. It was really big. It was overcrowded. There were heaps of people that I didn't like. Especially coming to the North Shore and being Samoan, but from the north is very strange.
Yeah, it is.
It's predominantly Māori up there, right? So you come to Auckland, and so in my mind, I'm like, yeah, we're just going to live central, maybe out south.
Yeah.
Where the rest of my family live. But no, Mum decided the North Shore would be the great option. So we moved here when I was, about 15, went to Long Bay, didn't like it at all. Thought I was going to go to Rangitoto because it was good at sports. That school was known for sports. I didn't know that Westlake was a place, to be fair. Yeah, and then kind of just like went on, had the opportunity to play sport and do dance with Mo. I guess that's kind of how our paths crossed, similar interests. And then we have our little sister Lucy, who came into the picture, and the youngest of the tribe.
And the naughtiest.
Yeah. No. And then I remember you rolling into school like you under. Yeah, and then I guess from there it was just kind of the rest is kind of history. So like in terms of where I'm at now, I work for a Māori health organisation, which is really amazing. It's something super new to me. So I started working there about 2 years ago for the Healthy Homes Initiative. So we service whānau in counties Manukau. So you may or may not have seen some social media content that we've put up recently, and also in the past where we work with whānau to ensure that they get the things that they need in their home to make it warmer and healthy. So that's kind of like the basis of what mahi I do. Yeah, we've got met my awesome partner, and we have little Eva who's 3. And then joined the gym.
Joining
the gym. That was a whole new experience, I think, for me, because I just was playing sport and that was about it. And I've already done my ACL twice. So it was like, how do I join a gym with an injury post having a baby 2 years later and try and find a community that you kind of feel like you belong to? Yeah, I think it was quite like, where do you go? So, and now I'm pregnant again.
And now you're pregnant again, and here you are. You were just getting started, and then I
know. I was like, yes, I can finally do 5 burpees. And now I'm like, oh, I can't even do one anymore.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And you're expecting now, yeah?
Yes. Due date is December.
When's due date?
So December 20.
2 days after our Christmas party.
Yeah, I heard. I was like, oh, the convenience of the timing. But anyway, I'm actually predicting December 14th, but I don't know why that's come on. But
is it like a strong number for you?
No, not at all. It's like not even a number. I think it's because in my head I'm like, if it's Friday the 13th, that seems a little bit spooky. So I'm going for Saturday the 14th.
You're gonna hold off until then, eh?
Yeah, you stay in there.
I'll be like, no. But yeah.
It's actually funny. Vita and I share something in common that we never knew until we met. Is that she went to school with my sister.
Wow, small world. 2 degrees of separation. Wow.
I didn't know that. I don't know how that came up. Maybe I mentioned that I went to Kamaoe.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, how old are you? And then you said, and I was like, oh, you wouldn't happen to know, blah. And then you're like, oh yeah, and I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was quite interesting. I didn't actually even know that you were from Auckland, from Northland. So I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, well, that was like Ash thinking that my real name was Chief.
You know what, though? For a while, I was like, what is his name? For ages, these guys would talk about the gym, and I was like, is that his real name? I'm not going to ask. I'm just going to leave it for now. And then it came up on Facebook, hey, people you may know, Abraham Dyer, and I was like, don't know him, flick.
Yeah. Swipe left.
Oh, I wonder how many people actually do, Chief. I want to know how many people, how long do they, until they meet you, and how long is it till they find out your real name? I don't think it was a couple of months before I found out that your name was Abraham.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, pretty much most people call me Chief. I would say the only ones that don't call me that would be Sammy.
Yeah.
And that's only when she's yelling at me.
Yeah.
And then and Carly at the gym. I don't think many others would. Maybe Autumn on the odd occasion, but yeah, everyone else calls me Chief.
Yeah.
And I respond to it more than I hear Abraham.
It just sticks.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to go into the convo because we haven't got long left. We haven't on the Banter actually. We haven't had a vaccination corridor. We've had it the corridor about we've got it done and stuff, but I don't think we've held space for it. And this isn't a space for us to all throw each other's opinions and you're right and I'm wrong and da 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 da. This is a space for us just to have a corridor because I feel like, and I was saying this offline too, is I'm not forcing you to do it. You're not forcing me to do it, but I don't like the separatism that it's causing. Like for me, the antis and the pros are creating the separatism that I'm like, hang on a minute, like we're all open to our own opinions and understandings, but there's no point in like discriminating towards it. And I feel like there's a little bit of that. Do you guys want to go into that conversation? How do you see it and your thoughts? Like, Sita, what's your thoughts? You're vaccinated and you're pregnant. A lot of people would be like, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Give us your rebuttal on that.
Well, I guess for me, like, I actually come from a family who doesn't normally vaccinate. So I come from like a family of doctors who work in that industry, but then my immediate whānau don't normally vaccinate. So
right.
When I grew up, I didn't get any of those vaccinations that you would have got at school.
Yeah.
And that was just my mum's choice. So in my mind, I was like, oh, just get it if you want it. Don't worry about it if you don't have to get it. And it wasn't until I actually went to South America, probably about 6 or 7 years ago now, and I had to get the yellow fever shot plus a bunch of others. And so I was like, well, I really want to go, so I'll get it. So I got that.
Yeah.
And then I guess from there, I got the flu vaccination regularly and yearly. And so that kind of led me into getting myself vaccinated just in general.
Yeah.
And so I guess from that, in terms of this, and yes, I have a lot of information from my work. And in the industry that I work in, I do have a lot of good information. And so I didn't know that I was pregnant when I got the first dose. So when I got the first dose, I was like, yeah, cool, let's do this. It's like me getting the flu jab, all good.
Yeah.
And then I found out I was pregnant. And then I spoke to one of actually our clinical advisor at work. And they said, don't go for your second dose just yet. The advice that they were giving at the time, so this was back in March, was that they were still doing some more research on it. And so the messaging to pregnant women was that to just wait until there's more research that had come out.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, cool. I've already got my first dose. It's fine. And so I did, and I waited. And then I guess time went on. I actually waited quite a while, about like 5 months now, I think it's been. And I got advice from my midwife, from my own GP, as well as my work, the same doctor, because, I guess I just wanted some more information outside of me doing my own research about it, to just kind of give me that reassurance.
Your own understanding, right?
So that I could understand it for myself. And I got that, and I was really grateful that they were honest with me from the beginning and honest with me at the end.
Yeah.
So for me personally, it was a choice that I made for myself.
Yeah.
To be fully vaccinated. But on the flip side of that, I live with people who don't and probably won't.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's our whānau, and that's their choice and their decision. And so I think I'm at peace with that now, to be like, yeah, totally cool. And for those who don't want to get it, it's a difficult subject, hey? So I guess it's one of those things that is, you're constantly going to have two sides. It's two sides of the coin the whole time.
Yeah.
And so, I think in terms of my own personal view on it, the siloing is quite difficult for me to understand, because I don't like that. Same for you, Sid. I don't like that segregation that it's causing, not just between just people in general, but between whānau, which, we're not we want to bring people together, and it feels as though it can be a little bit separating. So it's just a quick touch on it and my kind of view. But in terms of how I feel fine. So
yeah, and you're all good, and it is what it is, right?
yeah.
I mean, you articulated that really well.
Yeah.
You know, that sense of that us and them camps, and there's a real like, well, you must get the vax because I want to go to this, and then no, I don't get the vax because it's my body, and you're trying to take those choices away from me. Those two camps, it's like, you know, the two is like Germany versus the Allied, and they just at each other the whole time, and it's consistent. And
I feel
for
like
a lot of us,
integrated.
we're like the United Nations. We kind of sit in the middle. We're like, no, it's okay. It's okay to still talk. And I think that's what's getting lost in it. It's a lot of finger pointing as opposed to actually listening. So there's a lady that came on yesterday. And I put up a post that said that, you know, I'd be really interested in having some pro-vaxxers versus some anti-vaxxers, and just whether it's just a live debate and just see what happens, because there's information on both sides of the spectrum that I think are inaccurate, and there are some sides, there's some information that out there I'm quite interested in, and I'd just love to see some constructive debating going on around it.
Yeah.
And one of this lady sent me a message, not anti-vaccine, because she said, I get the tetanus jab all the time and stuff, but she's anti this vaccination, and then just went through this big list, and it was a lot of, you should do this, you should do this. And I read it all. I was telling Moa that yesterday on the thing, and I replied to it and I said, look, I fully understand where you're coming from, and if I was in your situation, my position would probably be the same. I said, and I respect that. However, I don't agree with it, because I'm actually pro-vaccine, because I've had it all my life, and I actually believe that this will probably help us in the future.
Yeah.
Your point of view may not agree with mine, but that's okay. That's okay to have discussions where we don't agree. It's okay to do that. At the moment, it feels like, no, it's not okay. You must listen to what I say. No, you must listen to what I say. And I think that message comes from this kind of verbatim that's coming from government at 1 p.m. briefings. You should. And that's what's, I think, annoying a lot of people is, no, you're telling me I should? Well, who are you to tell me? And especially those people who are kind of anti-establishment a little bit. That's like, you know, it's like drawing a line in the sand and go, later, I'm on this side of the fence. So
yeah. And I guess it's about looking at from not a vaccination house perspective, but in terms of how you can ease our resources. So I think a lot of people, when they're reading the information and they're saying, oh, it doesn't even cure it, which is one comment that always flies around. But I think it's also about thinking it from that other side of it, that no, it's not going to cure it or disseminate it and take it away, but it can ease our hospital systems and the resources that we don't have to ensure that we're saving up space for those who actually genuinely need it, not focusing on trying to treat COVID patients and things like that. That's just a little piece that I've seen as well.
Lucy's just put up a good thing.
And this is probably what we're speaking to a little bit more. It almost doesn't feel like it's a pro-vaccine, anti-vaccine.
Yeah.
It's now more about, you know, choice of this or choice of that, and this is what it's now becoming more of. The pro-vax, anti-vax talk now is the tool and the mechanism they're using to illustrate points. And this is, you know, I agree with this comment that Lucy says, but I also disagree. It's no different to having, you know, having to show your driver's license to get ID to go and do something. While it's different, you're still it's exactly the same. I think the key indicator is that it's a little bit of a personal thing about the vaccine stuff. And so it's super challenging for those that maybe sit on the side of the fence or like, you know, kind of like not happy with this. this is going to be a crux for a lot of
and
people.
I think it can be challenging because we're so exposed to social media, hey? Like, you think back to when I think I was having a discussion in regards to polio. Like, there was no social media flying about to be so intense, and you weren't like this every day and seeing it. You know, we're booking times and for updates on the regular. It's like, tune in at 1 p.m. We're most likely going to be tuning in at 1 p.m. whether we're working on our laptop and it's on our phone on the side or whatnot. You know, we're exposed to it. But
it's one of the other things that I think is I think challenging for a lot of people at the moment is the certainty of time when this is going to end, because we are so used to having timelines now, right? You know, back in the days of the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, even early 80s, 90s, you can kind of you kind of just roll with the punches because information wasn't as forthcoming. So you usually kind of like, I had to wait for the newspaper to come out the next day to find information, and then we just read what was information, and then we could do, oh yeah, sweet, I was waiting for the next one. Now with information so readily available, we just want to know now when we are going to get out of this, when's the next thing going to happen, why do we have to wait so long? We are not used to waiting. No. And I think that's becoming a real bone of contention. I think I read a newspaper article the other day. Auckland's really tired and angry because we're constantly waiting. We're week 7 or week 8 now of this, and I think that's starting to grate on people, which is starting to now create more of that divide. And then I read somewhere Melbourne is the longest lockdown place in the world.
They've done a year
and they're
now.
Like it. Yeah, they're 50 weeks. That's nuts. 50 weeks.
That is wow.
That is. 50, I think it is. It's such a divide too, because anyone can judge you for having it. All good. You like I'm gonna die, not you, or you're still gonna die. We're both still gonna die, whether we've got it or we don't have it. Like that's my end result, to be able to feel like I can shut the argument off. Is go, we're all gonna go 6 feet under. That's it. Whether you got it or you don't got it. That's just the only way for me to understand the situation, is to put that perspective into it. I just feel like you said before, Siddha, it's the resources. It's like, what can you do to help? If you say, oh, I'm doing this to help so I don't have to be in hospital and stuff, well, good on you for doing that. Like, and if someone's going to be angry at you for doing that, then what are you up to? And you're just saving your ass. Like, that's just what it comes down to for me. Like, that's my understanding of it. I feel like, yes, the government is shoving it down your throat, and that's the part that's too confronting. And like Lucy said, it feels like you're sitting at a dinner table and you say you don't want to have your dinner, and they're like, eat it. You don't even want to do it even more. Like, I think it's human nature, right? When someone, especially you don't really agree with, tells you what to do, it's natural for you to be like, I'm going to do the opposite. Like, and so there's a part of that as well. So like, I'm like, are you just saying no because you don't want to agree with that person? And then that's a battle that you've got to have internally, because that comes down to something that trickles down to you to not be able to see the bigger picture. It's a discussion that I feel like is going to be around for a while. For me, how I feel is just like the dividing of family and friends, and that the only thing I encourage is to have an open mind and have an open heart, because your family member doesn't hate you for not doing it, but they're gonna hate you if you are arguing because you guys can't see eye to eye. You know what I mean? That's not a good example for our children. That's not a good example for just holding yourself with pride. You know what I mean? Like,
having good conversations with your whānau and your friends as well, I think, is super important. Like,
absolutely.
Being able to, like, have those courageous conversations with your whānau if you are vaccinated or and if they're not, and be confident to give the right, have the right information as well. I think sometimes it can be quite difficult when you've got so much information in front of you that you end up not really talking about what it is at the end of the day. So
hard, because then everyone gets defensive, and then it gets turned into something else, and then you're like, oh man, this is now an emotional battle rather than a rather than like let's just have a discussion on our views. I feel like that's the part that for me I'm like, oh my god, this is triggering for me. This is triggering up old emotions of being able to speak about whatever you want to speak about, but you can't because it's not right or it's not wrong or it's so like that's just my 2 cents on it anyway.
It's my last point would be I think I put up a thing after lockdown, what's the one phrase you don't want to hear? I got that from Matt Ansley, my mate. And Vita just said or it might have been you, Mo, just before us talking about research. The one thing I am looking forward to after this is people saying I've done my own research, and then when you ask what their own research is, it's 4 people on TikTok. That's like saying you got all your information from Wikipedia and Wikipedia is 100% accurate.
Yeah.
Or Dr. Google, you know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. Yeah. Like you didn't do your research. You were just at 2 a.m. because you got withdrawals from yesterday because you couldn't get on social media. So you're trying to catch up on your screen time and you just had to look at something like, oh, damn, yes, that's perfect.
That's a very good point. That is a very good point.
Yeah.
But after lockdown, what's one phrase you don't want to hear? Mine would be, mine would probably be Tēnā koutou katoa. Nah, jokes. You know how she does the little like Tēnā koutou
katoa. or the other one is like, Dr. Bloomfield, would you like to elaborate on that point?
Yes, no.
I'd just like to speak up on, I'd just like to further elaborate. It's outside. The ventilation.
No, actually, do you know what? One thing I don't want to hear is that you know the COVID song?
Oh.
You know the tune, the tune that they play, the
Yeah.
Something like that.
It comes off on your phone?
The jingle.
Yeah, the jingle for it.
I tell you, whoever did that is going to be making millions.
I was going to say team of 5 million. So I want to know something that we can finish on a good note.
After Vita, I do have something to say that's just come out about something. So Vita, you go first, and then I'm going to finish on a high after this, hopefully.
Yeah.
So what was it? Sorry.
You go, Vita.
Any last words or any gratitudes or just something to end on nice without the hype.
Yeah. I guess like going back from when I was introducing myself and in terms of looking for a gym and being a pregnant mom, I guess grateful that Mo and Lucy both were already with 808, which then led our whole family to be, I guess, a part of a community, and it's been really nice. It's been really challenging, and I guess it's had its own challenges for me, and just to come into a space and be able to do something that we all enjoy together. I think it's also been really great to have our partners with us, our kids with us, and it's been a different way to interact. So I've thoroughly enjoyed being with that. I feel like I'm departing or something. I feel like I'm leaving. And I'd like to say thank you, Chief. Chief and the coaches. Like I've had some really good kōrero with Levi and Carly as well. Just around giving advice to just having a laugh at the gym, and it's been super enjoyable. So yeah, thanks heaps to the 808 family for bringing us all in and allowing us to have this space to smash up
our whole family.
And let our kids run around wild while
I still remember that FYUF class, and all of you brought all the kids. Yeah. There was that one with there was that one. All of you girls were there, like every one of them. Even Casey from out west came over.
Yeah, that's
and there must have been like, I think 7 of you girls and like 39,000 kids.
39,000.
And I was like, everywhere I looked, there's a child. and that is the only time I've ever been stepped out by a child was your daughter, Evita. when Eva looked, I said, "How you going?" And she just told me to get out.
Standard.
She's
Standard.
like, "Get
She's
out."
a hard one to win over.
We're still working on that one.
I was like, ooh, I might not be able to win this one over.
No, it's been great, and I think like when you have your youngest sister of the group with 3 kids, and setting the example for us that it is, you can take your kids to the gym and it's totally easy, and you can go out and you can do these things and you can be with your family and do all of these amazing things. It's great because then it gives you the confidence to be like, actually, yeah, I'm just going to do the same.
Yeah, hard.
So just quickly, team. So I've had about 7 messages come through. Sorry, that's the reason why I was on my phone a little bit midway through, because I was getting pinged. More information has just come out from the COVID government website again, and this is probably where the confusion lays into this, is like that constantly changes. All right, the exact wording now has come out. Outdoor exercise classes can take place with a maximum of 10 people. This includes instructor taking the class. People do not have to be in the same household to participate. But everyone should stay 2 meters apart. We encourage you to wear a face covering when you are not exercising. You cannot use the indoor changing facilities.
So is there going to be are you going to send out another email or another message saying that you're going to be opening it up to...
I'm going to have a look at that further. So I've just been sent a whole lot of screenshots. So I'm going to jump on now quickly and triple check to see if this isn't just for Waikato or Hawke's Bay or something. So make sure that it is for Auckland that we are to do this.
Comes up, it's
before I go out, I do know that the East Tamaki Functional Fitness are doing classes as we speak right now with people. So, but I want to confirm first. This may change things. However, I don't know if we will be able to get information out fast enough to people to warrant a change today.
Yeah.
So just bear in mind, team, that whilst this is an evolving beast, I don't want to. I don't want to confuse. Yeah, I don't want to rush on this. So if we have to wait a day, we have to wait a day. We've waited 7 weeks already. Yeah. One more day is not going to end the bank on it. So yeah,
awesome.
there you go.
Thanks for that, bro. I'm gonna finish off with quote of the day. And it is 41. Page 41. I don't want to get to the end of my life and find out that I lived just the length of it. I want to have lived the width of it as well.
Ooh.
Very valid and accurate.
For today. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That hit it on the head. I just want to say thank you for joining us for this morning's banter session, Sitter. It's been,
thank you.
I'm grateful to hold this space with you and have these corridors and even allowing me, like, honestly, it wasn't until you jumped on that I was like, oh, let's go into this corridor, because I know that we haven't. And I think for me, and I don't know if for you too, Chief, as well, it's just like having someone I know that we can talk about it without it being a uncomfortable situation. So thank you for holding that space for us. Everyone else, I am hoping that you all have a wonderful day. Be kind to yourself, share the magic, and we will see you tomorrow morning with the good vibes. Thank you, Sitter.